adventures in imperfect living.
Greetings, folks. My name is Greg Willits from rosaryarmy.com.
And I'm Jennifer Willits, his wife.
And happy continuation of Advent to you. I hope you're enjoying whatever you're doing to plan for Christmas. I feel like my Advent has been the least Advent possible. I had a meeting this morning. I'm going to pour a cup of coffee here. I'm not going to the bathroom for you audio listeners. I've realized I listened to the show last week and I poured coffee last week. And when I listened to it, I was like, it just totally sounds like
like you're going to the bathroom.
Like I was going to the bathroom. Our coffee carafe, which, by the way,
that's exactly what it sounds like.
Too many side things I'm going to throw out here.
Oh, great!
One of the best wedding presents we were given when we got married. I don't remember the woman's name, but we knew her from school.
Okay.
Wilhelmina.
Okay.
Is that her name, Wilhelmina?
Well, if that's it could be her name if that's the person you're talking about.
Do you remember Wilhelmina from
I
the
do
theater?
remember a Wilhelmina.
Her. She's the one. She gave us a stainless steel coffee carafe as a wedding present.
That's not the actual one.
No.
Though,
it's not the original one. We've
Ooh.
had to replace it because we've been married 28 years. I think that this is our third coffee carafe.
Yeah.
And it's great. I mean, like this is stainless steel coffee carafe. So every morning when we make a pot of coffee, rather than leaving it on in the carafe that comes with the coffee maker and leaving it on the burner and it gets burnt and it starts to taste nasty after, half an hour, 45 minutes, or you have to make smaller batches of coffee. We make one big pot. We pour everything into that carafe and carry that carafe around wherever we're going, and we have coffee. I love that carafe. But lately, you and I have been noticing it's starting to leak. This black sludge is coming out of the seal, and it's kind of making me grossed out every time I see it.
It doesn't even make sense how it's leaking, but it's not pretty. It's like that black plastic collar on the outside. That's where it's like this black sludge is just oozing out. And like, ooh, that ain't good. So it might be time.
I think Santa Claus needs to
replace it.
I think Mr. and Mrs. Claus need to have a conversation and just agree that needs to be one of the things that we bring to Greg and Jennifer Willits. I mean, that Santa and Mrs. Claus bring to Greg and Jennifer Willits.
You know what?
We just need to go ahead and buy one.
And speaking of side tangents, I have to just get this off my chest right now.
But thank you to Wilhelmina for buying us a coffee craft.
It got us started.
She introduced us to that idea, and it's been of great service in our marriage for 28 years.
I'm just so aware of our dear friends and longtime supporter and listener, Colette. I know I'm like on her living room wall right now because she loves to watch our video version of our podcast like a TV show on Netflix. Like, all right, let's see what's on Greg and Jennifer's life. And I'm so aware of that.
It's not just her. It's her husband, Gary.
Hi, Gary.
I'm almost positive. And if
Aloha.
Colette, if I'm misremembering your husband's name.
Oh, forgive us.
And your husband's sitting there watching and he's going, who the heck's Gary?
You're not married to no Gary.
I'm almost positive she said her husband's name is Gary. I'm almost positive. So, hi, Colette and Gary in Hawaii watching this right now. Aloha. Did you say aloha?
Yeah, I did.
Which you threw me off.
Is it hot in here?
Man.
Because is it humid in Hawaii right now? I'm always thinking it's just hot and humid, like
I don't
365 days a year.
I don't think they get Georgia hot and humid there.
Okay.
I think they have pleasant ocean breezes.
I hope.
At least that's my idea. But yeah, I was going to share some video from Colette. I had a conversation with her about Rosary Army, and I think just we need to get the show out this week.
Yeah,
that might be for the last show of the year.
She says some good stuff.
She says some good stuff. I had a conversation also this week with Jeff Miller from the Kurt Jester blog. We've known Jeff for a long, long time, and wanted to share some of the things he said about Rosary Army and why he continues to be sticking around. So I was going to share those, but just for the expediency, because we're so busy with so many things right now, I wanted to just record the show. And you mentioned Colette, and now you threw me off because I actually have it in the show note. Colette's feedback is sitting there, right there on my screen, but we're
for a future show.
But it's going to get moved to a future show.
So, Greg, I have been a little worried about you.
And I had a meeting this morning. I started that tangent too.
Yeah. See, you're like the tangent man.
Well, because this morning I had a conversation with Shane Kapler. Shane was on our show a year ago, and we've been talking for the past year about having him do a course for School of Mary, And so we have been doing some planning meetings, and he's come up with an amazing curriculum. We're going to do total consecration in Scripture is kind of our working title. We're going to come up with something snappier, I think. But the idea of where is total consecration? Where is this idea of having Mary be a regular part of our lives? Where is that in Scripture? How can you prove it? Because he said a great thing in our conversation this morning. I said, well, what's the pain point that we're trying to fix for people here? How do we sell this to people, this thing that we're going to create, which is a whole new learning path course that's going to be available for free on School of Mary. And he said, when he started doing research, and he's a college professor, and he's written a book about Mary and consecration in Scripture, when he started going through this, it was sort of like this whole idea of, well, all of the Protestant arguments against Mary really actually come all up to the head as soon as you start doing total consecration. All of these ideas of having her in your life and talking to her, making her, sort of be the conduit that you're going through to get to Jesus. All of these arguments are Protestant arguments like, well, you just go straight to Jesus. And why do you do this? And why do you do that? And he wanted to have a scriptural defense of it. And so one of the things we are going to create in this course is this ability for you to be able to confidently know that total consecration to Jesus through Mary is 100% scriptural, that it's 100% what God intends for us to do in our lives. And so that was a great conversation that we had. And we're just so many different things going off at once. But anyway, what were you going to say? You're concerned about me? You're rubbing my back and trying to calm me down.
Just the way you said that. What's wrong? What are you doing? You're calming me down. I'm fine. I'm totally fine. There's nothing wrong with me.
There's nothing wrong with me right now.
Totally a great Advent. I'm super relaxed and happy and joyful. This is awesome.
I'm not waking up at 4:30 in the morning and feeling a compulsion to go upstairs and start working. That's not happening at all.
I mean, I have been praying for you, and I hope that you have felt little moments of reprieve, of grace, where you can just breathe, because I am aware of the stress that you are putting on yourself right now, and I understand, I sympathize, and I thank you for what you are taking on. And also, I just
are you talking about with all of
the giving
all
campaign?
I thought you were talking about
that.
all of the floor cleaning and vacuuming that I always do.
I have
and the laundry.
Also noticed those wonderful gifts that you have given,
and making the bed.
Well, that's kind of like your thing. I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and officially give that to you. It is yours.
The making the bed?
I'm not good at it because these beds are so stinking big. I mean,
I worry about you if I die.
King-size bed? Oh, yeah.
It's like, I've actually had that thought as I'm making the bed. I'm like, if I were dead, would she ever make the bed again? Will she ever have a made bed again? And there was
I'd like to think that I would.
And there was something else. And this is such a funny thing.
I'd like to think that.
This is, I'd like to think I would be productive.
That's the thought that counts. Go ahead.
But the other day I was doing some other chore. Maybe it was vacuuming, and how there are things that we have slipped into in our marriage that are your jobs and my jobs.
Yeah, sure.
And without discussion. And sometimes I'm like, how did this happen that this became my thing?
Right.
And I was doing, and I can't remember what it was that I was doing the other day. And it struck me. Maybe it was not only have I become the one who makes the bed, I apparently am also the one who's responsible for laundering the sheets and everything else. I was like, but that wasn't it.
Yeah.
There was something else the other day, and again, this tells you how inconsequential it is that I can't even remember what it was. It was a fleeting thought when I was in the middle of doing something, and I went, I guess this is my thing as well. And I didn't realize that this was my thing until I've done this thing now 20 times.
Well, and we have a shorthand, I guess, and the litter box is its own talking point, because that is something I listen.
That's me and Lily.
Yeah, you and Lily pretty much do the litter box. And it's funny because even when I do it, it sets off something in both you and Lily. No.
Yeah, we
don't
get angry.
Don't you dare clean that litter box. I'm like, what?
I do get angry.
It bothers me. I'm just gonna do it, and I will feel better for having done it. It's not
a very passive aggressive
I'm not trying to stick it to the man.
You
by
you are.
I
Yeah.
am not.
Yeah. It's a passive aggressive thing.
I truly am not.
It is rather than saying, hey, could one of you clean the litter box?
You know how awful it is to
hold on,
ask?
Hold on. It's right, but that's why I say it's passive aggressive, because instead of asking, Lily will be at the table and I'll be sitting in the chair reading, and all of a sudden we'll hear this scraping.
I can't help it that it's that loud.
No. We hear that, and that's you asking. And then that's when we're like, why didn't you just ask us to do it? We would have done it.
So in my defense, since I feel like I now must defend myself, I've come up with a very quiet way of asking. I simply open the laundry room door and turn on the light and walk away. So
That's
that
a little bit better.
anyone else walking by, should anyone else walk by, they go, oh, she's asking. She's not even using words. She's using light and an open door so that you too can see the glory of a disgusting litter box just right there out in the open.
I am so glad. I am so glad you brought this up, because there is something that I have wanted to say for years.
And this is how you're going to say it?
For years. No. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's not appropriate for me to just go, hey, by the way, this bothers me. Would you stop doing this?
Okay.
Instead, it's been, I will wait for when the conversation just naturally comes up.
Oh, this is your moment.
And it just happened now.
I gave you a moment. Here's your in.
Going back to what I said a few moments ago.
Let me put on like a thick skin shield.
it shouldn't. It won't require a thick skin.
Okay.
What I said a few minutes ago of things that we have just in our marriage become that person who does that thing.
Oh, okay.
I am the light turner offer. And so
you are, and Lily is becoming that too.
So when you say that the sign for the litter box to be changed is the light is on in the lunchroom, that's actually not a very effective sign
for you.
No, for you, because if I'll be sitting. I'm sorry, I'm gonna poke at you a little bit.
Okay.
I'll be sitting in the chair in our bedroom, and the light will be off in the closet. The light will be off in the bathroom. The light will be off in our bedroom. And you'll come in and you'll go into the bathroom and you'll flip on the light, and then you'll go into the closet and you'll flip on the light and you'll get what you need, and then you walk out.
When? Is there a certain time of day?
No.
Like
regularly. Like I would say, and I am not kidding you. Oh, I'm so glad you brought this up.
It probably means I'm coming back for a part 2.
No. Well, part 2, 8 hours later, maybe. Yes.
Really?
I turn off the closet light in average, I would say, I don't want to be hyperbolic.
Yeah.
I will say an average of 3 times a day.
Okay.
I turn off the closet light. You go into the closet, you turn it on, and then you walk out. Now, you might be coming in for part 2, but the light's still on.
Okay.
And so take that and extrapolate that out. And this is the kind of stuff this is what my brain does, right? So if I do it an average of 3 times a day, and there are 7 days in the week, that's 21 times a week I do that. Extrapolate that over a year. I turn off the closet light over 1,000 times a year.
So that means over 1,000 times a year, when you flip that switch in particular, you're actually thinking not so nice feelings about
I wouldn't say it's not so nice feelings, but
it's like my wife.
So here's when it happens. We have a toilet that is in its own little closet, right? So when you go into the bathroom, you go into the little toilet closet room area, right? So I'll go in there, and if I'm going in there and I'm being leisurely about my time, and then I'll hear you come walking in, and then you go into the closet, and then you go walking out. 9 times out of 10, I come out of that closet. I come out of the toilet, the closet light is on. And so I'll go over and this is so gross. I wash my hands.
Thank you.
And then I go over and I turn off that light.
Okay.
And so I'm turning off lights.
I think we can really extrapolate this out to a larger issue.
Pantry light. I shut off the pantry light multiple times a day. And you say Lily's helping. I don't notice it. It's like I walk around.
She does.
Would y'all leave for school?
You probably would be doing it 2,000 times had it not been for
the light
Lily.
over by the closet downstairs. When y'all leave for school in the morning, I walk around and I turn off the kitchen lights. I turn off the hallway light. I turn off the light over by that. I turn off the pantry lights. I turn off the bathroom. I just walk around, turn off lights.
Yeah. Well, you know.
And let me tell you, nothing makes me feel like a father from the 1940s. Nothing makes me feel like the dad from Christmas Story than the lights. I was like, oh, it's not back. So it's not a big deal. But you brought it up. You brought up the light in the.
You're giving me an
And
opportunity.
this is all about cat litter boxes.
You're giving me an opportunity, Greg, to think about why might I be doing this?
I thought you were going to say, you're giving me an opportunity, Greg, to nitpick something you do right now.
No, I
Because-
know better than to
because-
ever do that live on a show.
I give you permission. It's Christmas. It's
No.
a Christmas miracle.
No,
Go
you
for
don't.
it.
No, I'm not going to do it. It's a trap. It is a trap. I'm not ever going to be honest about something I don't like. Because
Honey,
these are moments to grow in humility.
I will never.
I'm going to grow in humility.
I will never set you up for a trap. But I do want to ask: do these pants make my butt look big?
Yes,
Yes.
honey. I don't even need to pause.
Wait, they do?
No, I'm just kidding. Wait, for real?
So this-
Dang.
for like, suddenly felt like Emperor Scrooge. What was his name from Spaceballs?
Emperor Scrooge?
Was that
What?
his name?
It doesn't matter. Oh my gosh, that doesn't matter. Okay. About the lights, though, I think what it is that I actually just genuinely like to walk into a lit space rather than walking into a dark space that needs me to turn on a light.
Interesting. Interesting.
I
So-
like that.
So. Oh.
And the closet is not a normal closet. It's partially an office for me. I need
Okay,
to
okay.
go find something really quick. And I like it to be like ready for me.
Yeah.
So daytime, I tend to gravitate towards the light on because it makes me feel good. It's like an uplift. The light is uplifting.
Do we need to?
I know this.
Do we need to get the kind of light switches where they have like in offices or in schools, that kind of thing, where they, they have the sensor that
a
as long
motion
as there's,
sensor.
yeah, as long as there's motion happening, the light
Maybe.
stays on, and it's that's-
Okay, but I will say something. Now that you've given me permission, and it's not a bad thing, but this one, I know I cannot be the only one. And I don't know if it has something to do with your height. So maybe it is a height-related issue. But going back to that bathroom, so many things happen in a bathroom when you're married.
I am a little intimidated by this one.
It's, you know what, and I understand, and I can appreciate the sound. But the sound is loud. When you are done going to the bathroom and you close the lid, as you should, because that is the right thing to do. Close the lid if you're a dude and you're married to a woman. You close that lid for her future, so she doesn't have to do that. But the sound it makes is like slam, and the decibels are super magnifying. And I'm like, it'd be so nice if I could just get like a soft closed toilet, like.
See, I need to
Just
write down.
goes down. No,
soft-
that is not a Christmas gift idea for you.
Close
Do not give me a
toilet
toilet seat as a gift.
and light sensors.
This is just like a basic consideration, and I know it exists.
and the carafe.
I've researched it, but you have
You've
to get.
researched toilet seat closings.
Yeah, it's there. It's totally there,
I-
and I would like that. And I think you would like that too for someone.
I'm very sensitive to closing or shutting it at night. Like when I go to the bathroom in the middle of the night.
So you just place it down. Yeah, But
Yeah.
I realize that's not feasible to maybe do that every single time. And there's just times you just want to let it fall by its own weight.
No.
But it is an annoying sound to me, and I just makes me shudder. It's like, dang, that was loud. It's like I literally hear the ringing in my ears still from that toilet seat slam. I was like, what is that? Anyway, it's just a thing. I'm sure you can get a soft closed toilet seat, and there you go. Happy Advent, Merry Christmas. I gave you the idea. Go.
This is a very productive show.
This is just where we are right now.
We're all over the
But
place.
we totally love each other, and we have learned to grow through these things, and we're growing in humility. And oftentimes that's actually what it is. It's an opportunity to grow in humility, because if the thought in your head starts with, I really don't like when, that's all automatically a pride leaning thought. And you think, do I really need to share that thought with anybody? Does that help anybody if I say this out loud? And you know what? It just really isn't. You're not a gift to humanity if you tell them how much you hate something. It's like it just doesn't make anyone feel good. So I've personally, for Advent and maybe just forever, I'm really, really trying to police my own words and my own thoughts so that whenever it leaves my mouth, it's not horrible to hear. I'm trying to imagine what it's like to be on the receiving end of my words. And it's a good exercise to do. And I highly recommend
Yeah, this morning
that you do that.
when I was talking to Shane, and then yesterday I had therapy, and I realized, like when someone asks, talk about policing my words, right?
Mm-hmm.
When someone asks, like how the giving campaign is going,
Mhm.
it's
It's like,
talk about policing my words. It's
Yeah.
because it's so frustrating. This is why I tried to say to Shane this morning when we were talking. But at the same time, I feel like I feel like when the words come out of my mouth, I sound like I'm complaining. But all I'm trying to do is explain where we are right now. And where we are right now with the giving campaign is actually very, very, very good. We're at a better spot right now than we have been in years past. Have not yet, and so we're recording the show on the 14th, but it's going to go live, I think, on the 18th. So we're a few days away, right? So a lot can change between now. Yeah,
Right.
it'll go live on like Monday the 18th. But where we are right now, and we still have a couple weeks left in the year, we're still more than halfway away from our goal.
Mhm.
And so that makes me very nervous because historically, most giving happens from our previous donors who've already shown their generosity. They typically donate like right away within the first couple weeks, which has mostly happened. We still have, I would say, a few hundred people that have donated in the last year or two that haven't yet donated now. But historically, like most of our significant donors have already contacted us and said if they haven't donated, they're going to, or they go ahead and donate. So where I'm going with this is because I spend so much time right now doing a lot of number crunching because this is the time of the year. And again, if this is your first time listening, we run a nonprofit called Rosary Army. Rosary Army has been around for more than 20 years, and we don't like to do fundraising, but it's necessary to have funds to run a 501c3 nonprofit. So we try this strategy, which may have to change in the future. We just don't know. We try to do a giving campaign just once a year during Advent because that's a season of giving. That's when most people are giving, and people are looking for end of the year tax write-offs as well. So we use that to the benefit of this mission and this ministry. So this is the time of year where I have to put on what very tiny accounting hat God gave me.
And it's tiny.
But there's a lot of, I do have an
Yeah.
analytic
Yeah.
side
Yeah.
where I'm trying to figure out how do we manage these things. And I have the ability to write emails and I have the ability to make videos and do all the marketing things to promote it. But they are not the most enjoyable emails or marketing things and videos that, to make. It's very hard for me to be creative with those things. So it's a difficult time. I'm just being honest. It's a very difficult time of the year. And so what I was saying to Shane this morning was, what makes me sad is I haven't felt Advent this year, and it's been very hard to put myself into a focus of Advent. So I feel like it's passing very quickly because this is the time of the year where, for whatever reason, and I do feel that Jesus and Mary ask me at this time of the year to do this thing. And so it's very penitential, but it feels more Lent-like than it does Advent-like. I'm not awaiting with joy the coming of our Savior as much as I would like to be focusing on that. I'm focusing more on, awaiting the joy of reaching our goal so I can be done with this and I can move on to focusing on developing more courses for School of Mary. I really do. I said this when the Barons were here for our 500th episode. I really have some large-scale writing projects that I'd like to take on that would benefit the apostolate. And there's a lot that I've been wanting to do. I've been wanting to develop a few different courses and that kind of thing. But my mind is taking up all of its energy right now on the giving campaign. So I feel like I just said it as more calmly and clearly than I did with my therapist yesterday, and then now with talking to Shane this morning. I felt like it just comes out as a complaint of like, oh, we haven't hit halfway yet, and it's so slow. And yesterday I sent out an email, and I was hoping yesterday we'd make 3,000, so that would be doubled, and we'd hit the halfway point, and it didn't happen. And and I'm like, that just sounds so negative. And in the middle of all this, I one of the things that we did for School of Mary before Advent this year, we did a live stream, and I took that live stream, I turned it into a free course. It's like 45 minutes long, about 7 ways of growing closer to Jesus. And a lot of it has to do with consecration, but a lot of it has to do with living a life in union with our Blessed Mother, which is part of what you do when you go through the preparation of total consecration, but it's also a book that I've been reading, and I talk about the book in that talk, but really trying to live through every moment of the day and clearly imagining Mary is there with you, because she is, and working with her. So when I'm sitting at my desk and doing these things, trying to do it in union with Mary and working in union with her. And it's been helpful, but also it's been a difficult challenge to do that. Because then it's like, okay, I'm going to write this email because I feel like this is what I'm supposed to do right now. And I send it out. Excuse me. And I send it out. And then sometimes emails are effective and they get a response. And sometimes emails have a very low open rate, or people just ignore it or whatever. And it doesn't invigorate, right? And so I keep trying different things and trying to figure out what's going to work and what's not. And when I feel like I'm doing work with Mary and it goes out, and then so much depends upon, her intercession and the action of Jesus. If Jesus wants to bless the ministry at that point or not, for whatever reason, whether it be to help me grow in humility or help, because it's just, he's saving some other blessing for another time, which oftentimes is the case, that I have to just not feel like I failed or something like that.
Exactly.
That it's not a reflection on my email writing capabilities or my video writing or video production capabilities. And so, all these things come to the forefront during this giving campaign. But I will say this, having said all that, okay, so grateful, number one, for right now, and I've been doing updates as well. If you're on our newsletter list, you get these updates. We've had 160 donations come in. Now that's not a lot, but it's significant. And that doesn't mean 160 people, because those 160 donations include people who made a one-time donation and signed up for monthly donations as well. Some people have gone back in and made one donation, and like a week later they come back and make another donation to our giving campaign. So thank you for that. We have raised from those 160 donations as of the recording of this. And again, so it's the 14th, and I've been putting a little update tally on Rosary Army's website every couple days. So it's on every page. If you go to rosaryarmy.com and you want to know where we're at, right? How we're doing with the giving campaign, just go and look there's a little thermometer thing, giving campaign thing up on the top of the screen. We have raised $47,563. Those are, I call, actual donations, right? So actual 47.5, we'll say. It's like, well, wait a minute, Greg, because you have a much larger number on the website. And that's true, because we had someone else, one of those 160 donations is a matching grant of $56,000. And that's just words can't do justice to the importance of that, because without that matching grant, we'd be looking at right now, with 2 weeks left in the year, having raised only $47,000 for next year. And we would not be able to operate we wouldn't be able to stay in doing what we're doing with the rosary distribution, with all the production work, with all the expenses that Rosary Army has. Businesses incur more expenses, not less, over time. We've been around for 20 years. Our expenses have exponentially gone up because we've done so many new things. We'd be going out of business for the amount. I mean, that's the reality. If all we had raised was $47,000, we'd already be saying I think we're done. But because of the matching grant, we have $95,000 has been raised. Now that's still 200 is our goal. 200,000 is our goal. So I'm looking at that, talking about living a life in union with Mary, being, this is not our apostolate. This is Mary's apostolate for her son, Jesus. This belongs to her. And I have to keep telling myself that. This belongs to her. We are doing the work for her. I can't control these things, but she has, great influence of her son. Jesus wants to do wedding feast of Cana. He follows the directive of his mom. So it's this daily having to, and it's a struggle to mentally go, okay, I'm not in control of this right now. I can be doing work, but when I wake up, like I did yesterday, before 5 o'clock in the morning, and I'm already going, I gotta do something. I have to just constantly be turning it over, and it's hard. So we still have over $100,000 we need to raise, and with about 2 weeks left to go, and so that makes me really scared because I don't know how that's going to happen. I don't see how it can happen, but God has surprised us in the past, right? This is so I don't know how it can happen. And last year, excuse me, sorry for you on video, have to see me
Wipe your nose.
wiping. my
You're
nose.
human after all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um.
Last year, you're going to say something about last year?
Well, last year we tried to raise $200,000 last year, and we fell $50,000 short.
Right.
So we have been working this year with a $50,000 shortfall that we've been trying to work around, but it's feeling very, very tight. And so now I'm like, well, if we fall that short again, my humanity.
That's where your brain goes.
My humanity is like, well, we can't. How do we continue? Something's got to give, right? That's always the case. Something's got to give.
Well,
but, go ahead.
It's also when you see the numbers and it's like, well, I didn't make my goal. That's a really powerful statement to meditate on and dwell on, and it can easily take you to a very dark place. But it's also very human of us to think, did I do something wrong?
Yeah.
And
Or could I have done
obviously,
it? Could I have done something better?
Like we do have a tendency to turn it in on ourselves. And, remember, Greg and I just live here. We live this life 24/7, and we don't get much breaks out of it. And it's hard for us to, break out of that mindset sometimes and try to look at the bigger picture and always look upward. Although we really do try to surrender it all the time. And it's like you try to let go of something and then you look at your hands and it's still in there. It's like, well, I just let you go. Like, what are you still doing in my grasp? We do this all the time. So it's a very human thing. And it is an opportunity. It's a daily surrender that we have to live. And it's tough because Lily still lives with us full time and she's in high school. And so we are going through new things with her and experiencing just new dynamics of we still have to remember we are a family, and I still need to be very available to her as mom and not always say, okay, Lily, you need to wait while I do this thing for the ministry. So you're second and ministry is first. I have to constantly look at my priorities and make sure that I am doing what I need to do for her because she's in her formative years as a young teen. And so right now, if you, just pray for her because, by the time you hear this, she would have just finished her first real experience with high school finals. And, there's a lot of testing anxiety that is in this house during those seasons. And so
that's another thing that's been going on.
And same with our older son, Ben, who is just halfway through his junior year. And, and he's been down this road many times, but it still kind of surprises us, I think, as parents when we hear about the testing anxiety that they feel is so intense. Yeah. And they feel like, but what if I fail? The fear of failure over a test is huge with those two in particular. And so we're just trying to get them to calm down, to pray through these things, to offer it up, but to do everything that you can do within your power, within reason, use your intelligence well, but then also rely on faith for the parts that you can't do on your own. So we what we say to them as parents is oftentimes what we need to say to ourselves as well. Yeah. So
looking at all of these things and what we're dealing with right now in terms of the giving campaign, it is going well, and so thank you. Yeah. I mean, we're trying to be a little transparent. I hope it doesn't sound negative. These are the doubts, right? But hopefully, what you're hearing in our struggles is how we are trying to cling to our Lord through his mother as closely as we possibly can right now, and how important that is to do when we're going through periods of uncertainty, periods of difficulty. I mean, imagine, Mary and Joseph for 3 days not knowing where Jesus was and searching for him, and the, the terror in their hearts of like, what happened? What did I do wrong? I don't know what they could have been thinking.
Right.
Joseph, as the protector, probably was beating himself up. How could I have let him out of my sight? Why? What did I do wrong? And so it is easy to start second guessing and asking these questions. But things are overall going well. And the good news is that we still have funds in the matching grant. We still are looking at, as of right now, we have, if I'm doing my math right, like $8,000 still can be matched.
Mm-hmm.
So that's huge. We're going to do fine. We're going to have what we need. I have to keep telling myself that, right? We're going to have what we need. We're going to have what we need to be able to do this work. But there's so many things that we want to do so much more of. And that's part of, when I look at the ideas and goals for next year, and I was talking with Ben Barron, who helps with editing of the show. There's been a couple shows this month where I had to take on the responsibility of doing that because we were at last minute and other things got added on. And so I had to do it. It's got us thinking about, okay, well, what, like with the video version of the show that we've been doing, how do we ramp up the viewership of that? How do we increase that? We don't want to stop doing it because we think there's value to it. And you said at the beginning of the show, for example, Colette and other people have told us, it's like, that this is their Monday night thing that they watch. That it's an edifying thing that they can zap it up from their phone to their TV and watch it on their wall. And it's a journey that they look forward to every week. So we want to keep doing that. But I miss also doing shorter form videos that I think could be very beneficial for people, as well as for increasing the visibility of what Rosary has historically been all about, which is accompanying you on a personal journey to closeness to Jesus Christ. And so what can we be doing along those ways? And so I think, Ben and I, we've had some conversations about how can we be doing more production that isn't just sitting in the studio, but actually getting out and doing things. And I've been really giving great thought. I kind of missed when we did that Catholic show. I don't want to do that Catholic show again. It was a video that served its time, and it feels very 2007 if you go back and watch it.
So specific.
Well, that's when we filmed it, right? 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
It feels very much of that time. What can we be producing now that feels very much of this time that the world is in now? Mm. And I believe that we have, when I was talking to Jeff Miller the other night, he said the thing about our show and Jeff is very theological. Jeff gets,
deep thinker.
Well, we started our conversation. I was going to ask questions about, why, what does he see the value of Rosary and those kinds of things, the questions I've been asking people. And Jeff and I ended up going right away into software that he uses for scripture study, and I've been looking at that for a while. There's a service called Verboom, which I think we had him on our radio show years ago, and you can cross-reference scripture and see different versions of, there's all sorts of,
cool.
It's a tool for doing research, but it's a subscription tool. But I've been thinking about getting a subscription for Rosary because I could use the Bible, and then you can actually download and buy components, and so they have like a Louis de Montfort library of 3 books. They don't have the one book that I want in there, but then you can cross-reference more easily. It's because it's a software that's a database.
Cool.
I can highlight something. I can find scriptural versions to back up what's being said in this and that. And so Jeff and I immediately went down a rabbit hole of talking about those things, and we were talking about I use Notion. He uses something called Obsidian, and we were talking about the pros and cons of each one, and going all over the place. But the thing that Jeff did say about why he still listens to our show after all these years, and he's been listening since pretty much the beginning of the Rosary Army podcast 19 years ago, is because it's a slice of life of people trying to figure out how to live their Catholic life in today's world. And that slice of life aspect of our show that I sometimes push back against you on, I don't find as much value personally, or I struggle to find value, I should say, in talking about school issues or menu issues or what we did on Tuesday night. It's like, what are we doing to help people grow in the faith? And I have to keep reminding myself, and it's helped me have these conversations with people recently to hear they find value in that slice of life, even if I don't. And that's no. Let me just say though, there's still a disconnect.
That's awesome.
It doesn't mean that I like talking about this. Like we've talked a lot of slice of life today. That already in my brain, I'm like, what's the point of us talking about the coffee carafe or the bathroom toilet seat clanging?
But here's what I suspect.
It's like, how does that have to do with anything that has to do with Catholicism?
Because they find comfort in knowing that we struggle with the same things they do.
Yeah. So
it's comforting.
Some of the video ideas I have are even more slice of life type things.
Right, but that's for a visual experience.
Yeah, because there's
more than audio.
Right, because
perhaps.
I also crave. I mean, I really like the way our studio looks. I like it. This works great for talking head type stuff, right? But one of the things why I think that Catholic show worked so well when we did that video series back in 2007 was because I think that I have a visual eye, and I haven't gotten a chance to really use that for Rosary Army to that extent. I don't, and I had this thought even just this morning. It's like the key is don't set a schedule for those videos. Make them sort of like Mark Rober, not to compare myself to a guy with millions of followers. You never know when Mark Rober's going to release a video. He might go 3 months without one because he's trying to make really good ones.
Yeah.
And then when he drops
it's not about quantity, it's about quality.
Yeah, when he drops it, it's significant. But part of what I want to start doing is capturing more stuff that I can basically throw away.
So now we can finally do a curly hair update.
No,
video.
no,
Okay, no.
Because that doesn't have it. I mean,
no. I'm kidding. I don't care.
I know, but what I'm talking about doing is I'm not interested in what we did on Tuesday, but I might be interested in a struggle that happened on Tuesday and what that looks like over the course of several weeks of discussions. And how do we piece together a story? So showing a how-to of, I don't know. So
I see where you're going.
The conversation with Ben Barron, that had something to do with that.
Yeah.
There's, part of the giving campaign, I'm waiting for us to hit a certain number before I actually make a purchase that would help us do this kind of stuff.
I see. I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Well, I think that I want to go ahead and just put it on record again, how much I appreciate you carrying this cross in many ways so that I don't have to, because I have not felt burdened. I had all my freak out moments like the month previous. That's where I was.
Because you were looking at the bank account.
Well, yeah, that's all I had to do is look and say, oh, okay, that's a scary wake up call because I know the output and I didn't see the input coming in.
Which your freak out, by the way, helped me. It propelled.
Okay.
I mean, that's been.
Yeah, and I wasn't like freaking out.
No,
but I was
hot tears.
Whoo, yeah, it was hot tears.
It's a lot of hot tears, and when I saw that, and we talked about what does that mean, and it meant that by the end of 2023, Rosary Army wouldn't have any money left in the bank account.
Yeah,
that to me was okay. I really need to. I need to hustle it this year.
Now, and in that, okay, like that's the narrative device, if you will.
You keep trying to thank me, and I keep deflecting it.
Yeah, that's something you got to stop doing. Own it. Say you're welcome. That's all you got to do. Say you're welcome. There are times as a wife. Now I'm speaking from that hat I'm wearing, my wife hat. I just need to hear words of comfort from my husband. There is just something about that is so meaningful and beautiful, and it just puts me at ease. I know I can go to our Lord in prayer, and I should just give all my concerns and give it upward, and that's good, and I do that too. But there is something about the human relationship that exists between spouses that when I'm feeling low and discouraged and scared, and I still feel those things as a woman, and I'm married to a man, and I want to go to my man, and I want to be held by my man, and I just want to hear those words. Everything is going to be okay. I am going to take care of you. And just, I don't don't think you could ever know how beautiful that is to a wife's heart, and just how much she can just feel like she can take a breath. And she doesn't need to hear the how and the 5-point plan presentation. Doesn't matter. It's just that hug and that silent embrace. That you feel seen. I think that's what it is that the woman feels heard and seen and loved. And that is how God loves us. And that is how God communicates to us, is through the people in our life. And so that's what I needed back in October, or whenever it was that I was having that moment of, temporary anxiety over numbers in a bank account, which is a recurring event between God and me. And I was like, I know, Lord, I know. You have blessed us with money before, and everything's great. And then I forget, and then I get scared, and then I just start acting like you're not going to do it again, because the little part of my brain says, but what if this time it isn't coming? What if, I don't want to be presumptuous that the Lord is always going to bless us financially with a way to get through the year, and then, so that's my battle that I have to keep, surrendering and trusting, but that's okay. We just keep doing it. We just got to keep surrendering and keep trusting. And every day we do this. That's why we have daily prayers. God doesn't need it. We do. We do. We need to be reminded all the time. So I just want you to, maybe other men need to hear that, because they're thought, you know what, I probably need to comfort my wife a little more than I do.
I can't tell if you're telling me I need to do it more or if I did it for you.
I'm just trying. You did. You gave me what I needed.
Okay.
And sometimes it's okay to let your husband know that that's what you need. It's like, listen, here's what it is. Sometimes men don't quite know exactly what it is that their wife wants. They can sense that their wife needs something, but they don't want to screw it up. Help them out. Just tell them. And you know what? It still counts, because sometimes they need to be reminded, oh, right, this is important to you. So that meant a lot to me. And I wanted you to know that meant a lot to me, that's how you're very Josephian, talking about St. Joseph, the protector of his family. It's like you step into that role and you own it. And it's beautiful. It's inspiring. It's comforting. It's so many things in all the best ways that a woman will feel. And anyway, that was my little piece about that.
Good.
So there's your little marriage tidbit for the day.
So while we've been recording, we got another $75 was donated.
You're getting good at addition. That is your operation of choice of math.
Which meant that was doubled. So that's $150 went in. So now we're at $96,431 raised. So we're so close. We're so close to that $100,000. By the time you watch the show,
it'll be a different number.
Please, God, let it have hit 100,000. Please, I'm begging.
Just let it be over, please.
Just let it be. Let it be that much. So I mean, we're doing well.
And
but your prayers would obviously be appreciated, especially the last week of Advent.
Yeah.
I want to experience Advent.
Okay, you have been experiencing a little bit. I'm going to remind you of some things that occur only during Advent.
Puzzles?
Okay. No, well, that too. That too. And let me tell you, we had
just finished a puzzle that was hard.
We finished the second puzzle for the puzzle season of, that usually kicks off with Advent.
Normally we've knocked out about 5 by this point.
Right.
But this last puzzle took us 2 weeks to do.
With the first puzzle, we hit a record because we gave our new daughter-in-law first dibs on choosing the puzzle. So she chose the puzzle. And Holly she was very serious with her puzzle assembling.
She gives us a run for the money with puzzle.
It was so fun watching that.
My competitive streak definitely was kicking in. I'm like, well, we got to do one in 23 hours then.
So it was a 1,000-piece puzzle assembled in less than 24 hours. So that was very exciting to know that when we all put our minds to one thing, we can get it done. And then we just thought, we're going to be able to do all 1,000-piece puzzles within 24 hours. No, not so. So the second puzzle, much harder. But just like the first, we were missing a piece. And I cannot believe we're only going to get a 999 puzzle experience. Like, we're so denied that very satisfactory moment. And just yesterday or maybe the day before, we were putting the second puzzle together, and I was on a mission. I was done. I was ready to scrap that whole thing. I was so sick of looking at it.
You actually started to put the pieces back in.
I had all the things I had sorted by color and pattern. I wiped it and put it in the to-go box to put it away. I'm like, that's it. I'm just going to call it. It's over. And we got 2/3 of the way in to completion, and it was done. So I texted. I don't even know why I did this. I shared this with Walter and his wife. I'm like, well, there it is. I'm giving up. And so they immediately started cajoling me. It's like, we would have had that done, already. Like, what's wrong with you? It's just rocks and leaves. You can put pieces together that produce that image, when everything looks the same. It's not fun anymore when all the rocks look the same and all the grass looks the same. That's not what you want to put together in a puzzle. But I just needed new eyes. And so Ben is home for Christmas, which is wonderful to have our son back home from Benedictine. And he's analytical too. And so I thought, Ben, you're fresh eyes. You're basically fresh meat. Please see what you can do with this really difficult part of the puzzle. And so he's just so mellow. He's easygoing. He's like, yeah, I'll see what I can do. And right away, he found 10 pieces instantly that he was able to put together in their right place. And then I'm like, okay, that helped to reinvigorate my interest. I'm like, all right, I can do this. And so we did. We knocked it out. It was so satisfying. I'm not a puzzle quitter. I have avoided that. You accused me of being a puzzle quitter, or that I was about to be a puzzle quitter.
You were about to be, yeah.
And I was like, I don't want that.
I said you have to make a video saying, my name is Jennifer Willits, and on this date, I am giving up on this puzzle. You
were gonna make me record a video.
I said there's got to be a website somewhere for like puzzlequitters.com or something like that.
Anyway, I avoided it, and so now it is done, it's complete. And even when our cat Molly got into the puzzle and she destroyed the bottom half of it and had them all askew and missing, and we found them, even that last one under
and let me just
a hard place.
Hold on, let me just say.
Whew.
You keep blaming Molly.
No
one saw Molly do it. It could have been Marty. It could have been, Lily.
Marty doesn't care.
I'm just saying.
Molly cares.
You keep trying to blame Molly, and I don't know.
She cares. So even under the big thick carpet, that's where we found the final piece. I couldn't believe it. It was done. Under the rug. Under the rug. That's where it was. And so now it's done, and I'm reinvigorated. And to celebrate this, we're doing a cat puzzle.
That's 500 pieces. We're gonna go really easy on this one.
I need a fast win.
So you can't.
That's what's gonna do it.
You can't. You can't count this against timing wise.
No.
Against the one that we did with Walter and Holly, because that was a 1,000-piece puzzle that we did in 24 hours. You can't say, well, you have full. You got to do this one in 12 hours or less.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true.
Right?
That's a fair point. But the other parts that really make us feel like it's Advent is we do have our traditional Jesse tree banner that we have been doing for like 15 years.
20 years. That needs to be retired.
20 years. I mean, but Lily loves it. And kids love tradition. They do not like change. We know this. And I'm reminded, like with certain recipes, like I thought I might change my sugar cookie recipe and explore a keto-friendly one.
That's blasphemy.
That would be terrible.
That's blasphemy.
That would be the worst thing in the world. When Ben took a bite of that sugar cookie, I wish you could have seen his face. The sugar cookie that I make and I have to give props to an old Rosary Army listener, Susan Cuter. Then she goes back to 2007, 2006 days of Rosary Army. She's the one who provided me this recipe, and I still use it to this day. It is a tattered piece of paper, and Ben thanked me still. He's like, I'm so glad you have already figured out the best recipes of things so that when I start my adult independent life, I'm taking copies of all these recipes because you already figured it out. These are the best ones. So that's kind of Advent. That's always part of our Advent, is to have that sugar cookie. And also from our wonderful listener, Jenny Nagodi, every year she surprises us with this wonderful gift, and it always comes near the beginning of Advent, and we just enjoy it all Advent long. The box of cheese.
She sends us Wisconsin cheese,
and it is a delight.
What's funny, you say every Advent. I mean,
just about for the last 3 Advents, 3 or 4 Advents.
Jenny can send this.
It might be the last. Who knows?
Yeah. I never want to assume the generosity of someone else. Unlike our son, who he was sitting here, and I actually had a call with Jenny as well, and so I was actually able to tell her this.
Yeah.
Because she told me, she goes, and I placed the order for cheese yesterday, so it'll be. And I was like, and so I wasn't going to tell her this story because I can't remember if it was Thanksgiving or whenever it was, but when one of our kids was here, and he's like, "So, has the cheese arrived yet?" And
Has the box of cheese arrived?
And I was able to tell Jenny, it's like, hey, you could never assume that that's going to happen every year, but it happened again this year, so it's awesome.
Okay.
Then we have cheese. Hey,
There's something else I want to put about food. Okay, go ahead.
I think with the food, I'm going to put a period because I want to end the show. But there's one important thing that we didn't talk about that we had planned to talk about on this episode. And I kind of hate that we're waiting until the very end of it. So if you're stuck with this, thank you. Talking about receiving gifts in the mail. And so Jenny sent us the cheese. Thank you for that. We've had kind donations from other people. Amy recently sent me a new supply of Lickamade sticks. So thank you for that. But I checked the mail a couple weeks ago, and I've been waiting to write a thank you card to listener Alan, who sent an envelope, and I got it, and it was actually said Greg and Jennifer Willits, care of Rosary Army. And I opened it up actually while I was sitting in my truck because I thought it was a donation. And I opened it up, and Alan sent this email and said, Greg and Jennifer, in recognition of your 500th episode, I'm enclosing an item I came across many years ago when going through my late mother's jewelry box. Now, already at this point, when I get to this line, I see what's in the envelope. Mm-hmm. At that time, I did not realize what it was, but I knew it was important, and I kept it safe all this time. I believe my mother acquired it on a trip to Europe in the early 1950s. I know you both have a special devotion to St. Louis Marie de Montfort, and am sending you this relic. If you look closely, the relic is the tiny square of fabric. I am not an expert, but it seems to be a second or third class relic. Alas, I don't have the resources to send a reliquary worthy to house and display the item, but I trust you will know what to do with it. Many thanks for answering God's call and tending to your ministries all of these years, Alan. And inside the envelope was a scrap of paper with words written in French and a tiny piece of fabric. And when I went and I searched for, on Google Translate, a translation, it said that it was fabric touched to the bones of St. Louis Marie de Montfort. And so we have
that would make it a second. We
have a relic of our dear friend, St. Louis Marie, to have in the studio in particular. Normally right behind me, I have there's a shelf, if you're looking at the video, where we normally have a statue of St. Louis Marie de Montfort. He's actually downstairs because we needed him for a photo shoot. And so the
You'll
statue's
find
not
out
there.
why soon.
but just yesterday, I was actually, and I have it on my to-do list right now, and I can even prove it to Jennifer. I said I have right here, order reliquary. We need to get a proper reliquary, and we're going to have that reliquary back on that shelf with St. Louis Marie de Montfort. But to have that relic, I have been calling on, and we talked about this last week, all the angels and all the saints, but particularly our committee of saints. And he is the chairman in my mind. And so to have
what
a relic,
gift.
Alan cannot express our thanks enough. I literally started crying, but
he was shaking. The text messages coming from him, it was amazing because I was at school when he received your wonderful gift. And I always keep my phone on silent when I'm there, so I was getting it like later than from when it actually happened, and so I was blown away by it too. And it's like, wow, this is awesome.
So I've been meaning to send you a thank you card, and I was waiting to have the money to order thank you cards, so I have the thank you cards now, and so
now we'll get one.
Yeah, I just so many things. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for hanging out with us, deciding to spend time with us. As you are listening to this, you're probably in it's technically the third week of Advent because this is a year where Advent Sunday is also Christmas Eve, or the fourth Advent of Sunday is also Christmas Eve, which is just so strange. I don't like
It's
it.
a very short Advent.
I don't like it when
in a
that
way.
happens. By the way, but so you'll be lighting your candle in the morning, and then some of you will be going to mass that evening. We plan on doing a show that I guess we'll release on Christmas Eve or on Christmas Day. I don't really know how I'm going to pull that off. I'm not sure when, or maybe it'll be. Maybe it'll be the day after Christmas. Well, I don't want to go that last week of the year without a
because
podcast.
of the giving campaign.
The giving campaign in particular, and just honestly, it's just to share more stuff. I also had an idea. We haven't done this in years. We did this early on with Rosary Army and when we were starting up SQPN, and we used to do a joint giving campaign way back, 2006 or so. And we did like a podcasting marathon that we live streamed. So I thought maybe on that week, maybe we'll do a live stream. I don't really know. Maybe we'll do a live show. I don't know. As I say it out loud, I'm not really excited by that because whenever you do it, you get a handful of people that can be there at that particular time. Yeah. Most people watch it on
problem
demand.
with live stream.
So I don't know. The last show of the year, just keep an eye out for it. I don't know when it's going to be.
It'll just be delivered how the other ones are delivered.
Yeah,
Same way.
Maybe we'll just film on Christmas Day us eating sausage pinwheels because that's what we do.
Or you want to see me making them? That's always fun.
Yeah,
Actually, Ben makes them.
Yeah, so
he loves it.
We'll see. But until then, the marching orders, folks, to pray your rosary every single day
and do whatever it takes to be holy.
RosaryArmy.com/donate is your
Please.
way of helping with the giving campaign. Thank you so much. Keep us in your prayers, and we'll talk to you in a few days.
Bye.